Oh my God, Leanne.
Hello, Danielle. I am so excited to be talking to you in person. I'm in absolute awe of your business and what you're building and what you're achieving and what you're doing for female-led businesses out there. I'm just,
Oh my
good
God.
on you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate that. It's challenging some days, but I am just so committed to getting more money in the hands of women in business. And segue to you because you won this round's 5K grant.
I can't believe it. Don't make me cry again. When you called me, I cried, and I don't want to cry because I get a puffy face and a headache and I've got so much work to do. But you have just made my year. I can't tell you what bigger than money. What it does is the motivation and I don't want to cry again. I'm so sorry.
You make me cry.
Because like as you said, it is so hard, and it is so hard without funding. I mean, I haven't gone down that route officially yet anyway, but you know, I'm not starting with huge capital, and I don't have a partner like I know like a lot of female businesses don't, and it is just so hard. And just days like that, finding out that I've received a $5,000 grant, it just boosted everything that I needed for motivation, for morale, for belief, for like, yes, this can work. And it shifted my mindset. So since I found out about the $5,000, I've realized what I can actually do with that you can't do from zero.
Yeah.
So you can, you know, so I was just discussing with you earlier, you know, what we're going to do with that money, with inventory and you know, employment in developing countries for our seamstresses is, you know, that's pretty much what our businesses is based around. But you know, we wanted to launch a new range of apparel, and we can't do that because we have to purchase the inventory, and $5,000 is a minimum that we would need to spend. We need to spend on sampling, and that then converts to $25,000 to $30,000 of revenue, and then that goes back in again, and then that builds. But we can't build that from nothing. So it has really blown my mind. It is, you know, to many I would think that's a small amount, but it's not when you start calculating what it can do, and then that goes back in, and then that can then convert to some advertising and PR and so on. And I'm so excited to track this impact, because on this, you know, smaller scale, I then I can then package this up and go to the bigger investors and say, look what I did with $5,000. Look what I could do with 50,000. Look what I could do with 500,000, and so on. And I know it's not as simple as that, but when you've got a business that works and is profitable like ours, then you know, it can happen. But it could not happen without that grant, because it doesn't, you know, money has to come from somewhere. And I've been bootstrapping and bootstrapping and bootstrapping, and I've been going like this and this and this, but something just needs to be able to just grow, and I'm just struggling to grow.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. I love it so much. It's just, you're so spot on. Like, we can do a lot on hustle, right? Like, we can do a lot of, you know, post for free on social media and do this, but you're right, some things require money. If you're purchasing inventory, if you're paying, you know, Facebook for ads, if you're, you know, needing outside help, like that requires money, you know, and we don't always have readily available funds to get that leap. You're right, because sometimes it is, you're going around in a circle. You just need something to push you into the next.
Yes, just that little leap. And you know, and I find it exciting. I like the thrill of the chase, and I love the hustle, and I love I didn't want anyone just to give me $5,000 or $10,000. I want to do it this way, because it's just so much sweeter. If someone was just handing me funds, if I just had access to capital, I wouldn't be hungry like I am. I wouldn't need to be. And the hunger is what drives me. So I find that's the whole thrill of it. And I'm completely in love with this journey. I'm not obsessed with the outcome. I'm obsessed with what we're doing. And
Well,
the
that's a good
opportunity.
segue. Let's actually tell everyone what you do first.
Okay. Oh gosh. Yes. Oh, okay. So yes, I'll introduce myself. I'm Leanne Savage. I'm the founder of an ethical luxury brand called Acala Stem. We champion Lotus silk, and that is a new sustainable fabric which is inside a lotus stem is a beautiful soft microfiber like a spider web. It is extracted by hand and rolled into a yarn and woven on a loom. It is the world's most sustainable textile. It's produced with no water, gas, oil, electricity emissions. And the stems aren't collected just to make the lotus silk. They were previously used as waste. So farmers will collect them for the petals, the stamens, there's tea, there's lots of things they can do with a lotus flower, but the stems were going to waste. But so now we purchase them from the farmers to create the lotus silk. It can only be made on site. So the makers only have 48 hours before it comes out of the lake. So it has to be snapped fresh or the stick doesn't snap. And it's very, very difficult to make. They're generational artisans that create lotus silk, and it's ethically made. It takes a long time. Therefore, you know, it is the height of slow fashion because it's slow. So, you know, one scarf will take 2 months and about 10,000 lotus stems. So it's very, very, very labor intensive. It was once only given to royalty and high-ranking monks, but we're bringing it into the mainstream because it's soft and luxurious, and it's 99% antibacterial, clinically proven, and it has a very, very high vibration. So Lotus is the highest frequency plant on earth, and you know, that sounds like a whole lot of hocus pocus until you wrap it around your neck, and you know, it's like being near a happy person. We all know what a vibration is. We experience high vibrations and low vibrations every day, and when you wear Lotus silk, you know the difference. And people do, they can't stop touching it and they want to hold it. And we have a VIP customer base, but we need to grow that. We have some customers that have 6 or 7 that every time we put out a color, they'll buy it. But
Wow.
we need to expand on that. And one thing I'll tell people starting a business is don't listen to what people say, because we're the first, although it does exist out there, we're the first to bring this to the mass market mainstream. You're always told it won't work. But who's going to spend $700 on a scarf of a brand I've never heard of? And you're not luxury. You can't compete with Chanel, and like we're not. It's a whole new other category. But so what I did was I listened to that advice, and this is from fashion experts. This is from people that have been in the industry for years. This is from, you know, moguls and So I then, okay, so I have to create all these other products to make, you know, to bring in, you know, that entry level, and I went ahead and did that. And lo and behold, the best selling product we have is our scarves. That's what people want. And now we're moving into apparel. We have a kimono, but we can't, there's always a wait list. We can't get those quick enough. And that's because we need to grow. We need funding to grow so we can help our textile mill in Cambodia grow. And they've got capacity to produce 1,300 meters of Lotus silk each month, but we have to grow with them for them to grow. They can't just drop that out of nowhere. And that's what we're working to. Anyway, that's what I do. Sorry, answer.
No, that is so perfect. I love it. But also talk to me about your artisans in Cambodia, because I know there's a deeper story there.
Yes. So our supply chain model is we work with a social enterprise, which is a textile social enterprise, and on site they will do the spinning and weaving, but the sewing and the seamstresses, they will travel to the textile mill once every couple of weeks or 3 weeks, or if they're unable to do that, the work will be delivered to them out in the rural provinces. They're anywhere from 45 minutes to 5 hours away, and that's 5 hours on a motorbike with your young children with you. So that's why it's so important that the work can get to them at home. And the reason that's so important is pretty much how the working model works in most developing countries is women and men have to leave their provinces and leave their children in orphanages so they can work in the factories, because not many factories exist way out in the provinces. And they're also looking at 2 hours travel time there and back. So they'll be on the back of a truck at 4:30 in the morning, and they won't return until about 9:30, 10 at night. And so nobody can look after the children. Children go to orphanages. They're not orphanages, they're unregulated long-term childcare centres, and anybody, as we know, can go and work in there thanks to the rise of voluntourism. So children aren't protected, and there's no way we would put up with that here in Australia. So I don't know why we would accept that anywhere in the world for any child. And that's pretty much our whole brand is based on that work, is dismantling that model of unregulated orphanages, keeping families at home, children at home, with flexible hours. So we don't say this is due tomorrow, it has to be done. They do the work, they bring it back. It's in their best interest to do the work too, because the more they do, the more work they will do. So it works for everybody, and nobody ever needed to be in slavery conditions, which is what's happening out there more than ever. I mean, the media portray some big bad brands, and we all know who they are that get these bad raps for slavery. But slavery is the way of the world in developing countries. It's not one or two. It's just how it's happening. And, sadly, a lot of Australian companies are perpetrators of that, which broke my heart. And they're also female-led.
Wow.
Which is just beyond. And, they're all protected because we can't throw any companies under a bus because the workers are terrified. They're under coercive control. They can't tell anyone what's really happening. But I used to live and work in Cambodia as a teacher, so I was exposed to a lot of that information there directly, and meeting a lot of other NGOs and that sort of thing. And I saw some things that, I still see every day in my memory. So, that's what drives me to, and like I say in my videos, and if everybody saw the same thing, they'd be doing exactly what I'm doing. I'm not, I'm just doing what anybody would do, but they weren't there, and I was just so shocked at what I learned about how the world is turning from living and working in a developing country. It's very different to being a tourist and visiting, and we see poverty, but we don't get to experience it in the friendships that we meet, and living in a town where it's everywhere, and hearing the stories. And we only care about who we connect with and who we see, and if it's personable to us. But it became very personable to me. And I've got a bit of a problem with, we win a lot of awards for social responsibility and humanitarianism, and nobody should be winning any awards for not exploiting people.
Oh, God, yes.
I want to change that. When we live in a world where there's no such thing as, winning awards for not being cruel, it helps because it helps us raise awareness, but we're not doing anything heroic. But we're seen to be heroic because we're not enslaving women and children. We're just trying to do what we would expect for our own mothers, daughters, sisters. That's what drives me, and what's come out of it is an ethical luxury brand with beautiful products that people actually really, really love. And, we're not a charity, we're for profit, but everybody should be for profit. Everybody should be winning, and we can. So that's what I want to prove. We can all win.
Oh, absolutely. There's this wonderful investor VC that I know, and she once said to me that impact and profit should not be mutually exclusive, and to your point, you shouldn't be winning awards for doing the right thing. And again, people should get used to making money doing good things, because the more money we make, the more good we can do, you know, like it's just there's sometimes, you know, women especially, you know, we don't want to be too big, we don't want to make, you know, money off doing the right thing. Like it's a really funny
Yes.
state of mind, but
Yes.
if more people created more wealth and more profit around doing good, creating impact, solving these big problems, more people would be solving those problems. I think it is, I understand where you're coming from, but I just think it is so powerful, the change that we can make through business.
Yes, that's where we change the world, is that consumers have all that power, and the ones to make these changes are businesses and brands. It's not going to be governments. It won't be the uber wealthy. It will be just people like us that just want to, well, we want to change the world. That's what we want to do.
I love it so much.
And it's not even hard. Like what we're doing isn't even hard. We're not sacrificing anything. We're not giving anything up. We are just doing the right thing and, you know, making good business. It's not hard. And I think the future is purpose and profit. That I think that's, I'm hoping, I'm really looking at our younger generations, and they will look at the history of what was happening and be horrified, just like we do. We look at history and we're horrified. I think they'll look at the situation, but it just needs to be brought to light. And you know, we've got a long way to go with sustainability and impact businesses into buyer behavior. We haven't solved those there's a lot of problems to solve with buyer behavior. Everybody has these values, but they're still going to the fast fashion. They're still not, because they feel like they're giving something up or they're doing something for the planet instead of themselves. And that there's the gap there. And buyer behavior is ultimately about ourselves, and they're not making that there's a big gap there still.
It's a really interesting topic as well, because I know I had a little rant to my husband the other day about this. This is so funny, but it was a bread tag. You know, bread tags, they've moved to be cardboard now instead of plastic, which is fantastic, but they don't work. They break, they don't work. And I was like, you know what, if more things that were better for the planet worked and looked pretty, people would get on board. And that's why I also love your business, because your products are fucking gorgeous.
Thank you.
They are the height of luxury. They are beautiful. They are everything that you want in a luxury product, and they do good. You know, and that's what I think we need more of in the world, is more brands that create impact, that are sustainable, that are doing good, but they work and they're gorgeous.
We can. I think ethical luxury is on the rise, and I think consumers are changing. The younger generation are looking at. I mean, we're not in the category of traditional heritage luxury brands at all. They're a completely different customer base. There's a little fraction of them moving over, but it's still very different. But I want to close the gap between luxury and empathy, because luxury used to be, well, you know, but it's about status, importance, money, social climbing, and really just impressing others. And then empathy, that there's a big gap there between why can't we have both? Because that's what I want. I love beautiful things. I love, you know, I love fashion. I love luxury. I've always been, you know, a huge lover of fine textiles. But there's something about, but why does it have to involve exploitation and division and importance and money? Money to me doesn't equate to worth. Someone is worth more. And that was, you know, living in a developing country really taught me that. And that's where I want, ethical luxury. I hope it will, go down that path. And the other, you know, we're all waiting for heritage brands to become, you know, sustainable or you know, look at their social impact, but they're never going to, because that's not part of their core values, and you know, and it never will be. They can tick some boxes with some, you know, capsule collections, but ultimately the fashion industry is waiting for existing brands to shift, and that's like waiting for pigs to fly. It's never going to happen. They need to look at the small independent brands that are doing good, and they're not quite there yet, because I don't think there's enough brave fashion editors or beauty editors or sustainability editors out there that are willing to stand up and do something first. They're all still following trends, and they've, I know, and that's a big generalization. There are some, but nobody is like, most of them don't even know about Lotus silk yet.
Yeah, well, it was the first I'd ever heard when we were going through all of the applications.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, I wouldn't know about it either, unless I'd been spending time in Cambodia. And yeah, and there's banana, and there's kapok, and there's pineapple, and there's lots of other, you know, beautiful textiles made from plants. And yeah, learning about worm silk too is quite horrendous when you see how it's made. It's very, very cruel, boiling, you know, tens of thousands of worms alive. And that's why it's reported that traditional silk, worm silk, has a very, very low vibration as opposed to Lotus silk with a high. And, you know, it's almost as low as polyester.
Wow, really?
That's plastic, you know. Yeah, so there's a lot, and you know, and I often feel very alone, and I'm screaming from the rooftops and nobody can hear me, and why doesn't anyone care? Why doesn't anyone care? But you know, we've got our customers that do, but we just need to scale that. And you know, there's so much work to be done on the brand. There's so much branding work, and you know, that's what I do for a living in my other business, is I build brands, but I haven't had the time or space to you know, I have to work on this brand to get it to where it needs to be, because I know where I want it to go. And, you know, it excites the hell out of me. Absolutely excites the hell out of me. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that the grant is the stepping stone. This is that moment in time.
I had no idea how much it would be until I started realizing, and it's, you know, and it's not a big one, and it didn't even need to be, just to get that ball rolling, to put out there what I need to put out there, and then come back. Yeah.
Tell me, and that's really interesting, because I agree, you know, like, you know, $5,000 isn't a lot of money, but it really can be. What made you apply for the grant? What was that process like for you? I'm super keen on, you know, how you found it. Yeah, because I know I've heard some people, you know, really hold themselves back from applying, and kind of, oh, maybe it's not for me, and you know, you're just looking for tech products or whatever, and that's why I'm so excited about your business, because I'm like, you know, this is hugely impactful. But yeah, but super keen to hear your grant experience.
I'm trying to remember. I must have seen it on an ad, because it came up in front of me, or maybe I was already on your email list and it came up. It's actually seemed easier. It was easy to do, but what I did, and I'll be honest, I've applied for impact pictures and like all sorts of things, and I've got so much narratives in my Word docs that I'm just I'm just populating, because I've got
lines now.
I mean, always tailored. I mean, I spent nearly 2 solid days on it, but that's not a lot compared to other ones. I've spent 2 solid weeks, and I've been so disappointed just getting nothing. Like impact pitch nights, I haven't gotten anywhere near a final, or because they fill them, they say they're not tech pitches, but they're all tech.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like we've got a little bit of a secret, and everybody's looking forward, but we're looking back. So these are the origins of fashion before the Industrial Revolution happened, and we're scratching our heads trying to work out, how do we fix this problem that fashion has created in the planet? We know what that is. It's, you know, it's slow fashion, it's loom weaving. Loom weaving is endangered, and if we don't keep that alive, that's gone, and
Wow.
that's gone for good. So there's, you know, I can see a little bit of a revival in loom weaving as opposed to machine textiles, because it's the machine textiles that are choking the planet. I've lost my train of thought. This happens to me when I get in flow.
We were talking about applying for the grant.
Yes,
and
sorry. Yes, I know. I digress. I just talk for hours about this.
I love it. I'm like so fascinated.
So I applied, but what I've learned to do, because there was one massive disappointment I had last year that I was just gutted, that I thought I was going to get through to final, I didn't, and it knocked me off my perch. So I sent off my, oh gosh, have I got a story? So I sent off the application, and then so what I do is I'll apply and I forget about it, and I do that because just to, you know, protect my broken heart.
Same thing. Yes,
I have to
move on to the next thing now. Well, whatever happens.
Yes, but I don't know if I told you. So what happened was my email server, I didn't know, went down for a couple of days, and I wasn't getting any emails, and then I never got the email from yourself and Spark to say I'm a finalist in this. So I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't know. So then when the email got up and running, none of those emails, so the email, whatever originally got sent out, I never, ever, ever received.
Wow.
And so I then got, days later, I got the first leaderboard, and that's how I found out I got the grant, and someone was already about 400 votes in. So I saw that, and my heart broke. But yeah, I think business is about learning how to deal with a broken heart, really.
Oh my God, yeah. And keep operating with a broken heart.
Yes, and keep going. Yes, and keep going. So I saw that, and I was sitting with my friend, and I thought, why would I bother even trying to get the votes for the 10 grand? And she talked me into it, and thank goodness she talked me into it, because I ended up making some good content out of that, and the awareness of getting the community votes was just amazing, and we actually ended up getting quite a lot of sales just from that exercise.
I love that so much. That's the one thing I never thought would happen, and now I reflect on it, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're showing up more, telling your community the value you provide. Yes. Of course you're making more sales, because that's what we teach. We're like, just keep telling people what you do.
Yes.
So it's such an amazing byproduct of this grant.
Yes, it is. And it wasn't, and it was unexpected, because I didn't even mention products and what it is and what I'm trying to sell. And it wasn't a sell. It was, this is why we do it, because I saw what poverty looks like. Ultimately, if you saw what I saw, you'd be standing here asking the same thing. All I need is 10 seconds of your time to get a vote. And so many people, so many unexpected people got on board, and they were, you know, I'm talking people I went to high school with that I haven't seen for 20 years, were sharing and telling their friends, and, you know, people come together and want to make this happen. And it was so exciting. And throughout that journey, I always, you know, sadly at the back of my mind, because I was so far behind, I knew I wasn't going to get the 10,000, but that didn't matter, because it had created such a beautiful little storm, I suppose, for the brand. And then again, I forgot about it. and then when you called me, I just, oh my God, just could not believe it, because there were so many amazing businesses in the running. I mean, I did have a look at quite a lot of them, and there was 80 of them. And like you said before, sometimes we hold ourselves back with the belief that, oh, it's, you know, it might not, it won't happen, what's the point, blah, blah, blah. And I went through all that, but just gotta keep, just put yourself out there. I'm just so glad. I don't have the words to explain how grateful I am that I applied and did it. It's wonderful, and how easy and seamless the whole process was. Just, yeah, kudos to you, because we need things to be made easy, not hard.
Yeah.
It was the least, you weren't asking for profit and loss statements. You weren't intrusive on the business. And, so many others have been, and that just feels a bit wrong to be privy to that sort of information, because that shouldn't matter. It should be what we're doing. Yeah.
I know. And the other thing that always annoys me about grants that I've applied for is that you could only spend the money externally, like you had to get a consultant or whatever. And I was like, no, like people know the best way to use funds in their business.
Yeah.
Never want to restrict people for what they can spend this grant money on. So
right. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we were going to take it to Chadstone and go to Louis Vuitton or something.
I mean, don't get me wrong. One day. But no, it's like we need to trust women in business that they know business and use grant money to grow it and to increase their impact. And
why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want to use it to grow it?
It's crazy. Oh my God, you are absolutely amazing, Leanne. I am so grateful that I met you through this process, and thank you for applying. Thank you for creating change. Thank you for building a beautiful brand, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I'm in awe of what you're doing, and we need more Danielles. I keep saying, just incredible. When women support women, magic happens and we change the world.
So good.
It's easy.
It is.